Good morning, traders. I will try to keep my video short here. So one of my primary theses going forward here in the markets is that we, at some point in time before the next leg higher, uh, get a back test of the weekly 5 SMA. That has been routinely the situation that we look for. Okay. Once we start getting extended away from that, we need time. We need time or price to correct. So we could be very well in a sideways consolidation period, waiting for that back test of that 5 SMA. And we know the next 2 weeks are historically some of the weakest of the year in the markets. So this is a primary thesis that I am looking at here. And so it doesn't make a lot of sense for a bunch of new capital to come in and get into the broader markets until we at least manage to do that. See a lot of traders possibly sitting on their hands waiting for, at least at the minimum, something like this to develop here. Okay, the weekly 5 SMA right there, guys. Things that really happened in the past 24 hours. Basically, we had the big move up Monday. We gave it all back yesterday. Came right down to the weekly central pivot range high. Bounced right off of that yesterday. Okay, so that's what we got going on here. Barely up this morning. Good chance we're going to come in early in this morning and completely fill the morning gap. Okay, and then we'll see what happens after that. If you change your time frames, you can see a little bit closer here on this. This line right here represents last week's close. We're just barely poking above that. So we closed yesterday right at last week's close. Okay. Basically got a closing, double closing high from yesterday. Things are looking better for the downside move after yesterday's move, but still not concrete. Okay, so heads up on that. Okay. Other things here on the ESs I want to look at here. Ultimately, what I was looking at uh, here on the ESs, um, I move back down into this uh, poor high. We gapped up. This is excuse me. Okay. This, in my opinion, a thesis I have here that this could very well be all this inventory right here could be uh, a temporary exhaustion high caused by end of quarter quad witching window dressing. So that's thesis is still valid in my opinion. So that all this area up here could very well be trapped inventory. So let's be very mindful of that going forward here. Okay. Um, Nothing of the pattern is damaged. Even this higher low right here still is valid. So here on the 2 hour time frame, we do not have a break of trend yet. Okay, guys, so we do not have a break of trend yet. Everything still looks like we are trending higher. Just looks like some sideways consolidation at the moment. Okay. Pretty much that's what I got going on that. Other things here on the broader markets, I did want to point out that I pointed out multiple times yesterday. We never once on our index score, never once turned positive yesterday. And we were going all day long -8 or great, hitting -8 routinely here on our index score. That tends to be a indication of a trending market, which we ended up trending lower. Okay. And then ultimately around, I don't know, 2 o'clock or something like that, they finally gave up and allowed the markets to significantly come down. Uh, so I did manage to lock in a nice small short early on yesterday morning, but once it got down to my target area, it took forever to get further. So I would have been sitting in that with zero DTEs with a lot of DK if I would have stayed in it for that final move. It would have been a great win, but I would have been taking a lot of hit uh, for me uh, to capture this right here, but with me being in early like I was. But that was a really good move to the downside, in the markets. So be very mindful of that. So heads up on that. The pattern is virtually the same here on the NQs. We closed right at last week's close. We're slightly up 0.26% this morning on the week. So we're green on the week on week here to open the session. Could very well come down and close that morning gap this morning. We'll see how it plays out here. We did do a 1% pullback and tag the top, the weekly central pivot high. Came right into that top of that weekly central pivot high after a 1% pullback from Monday. Okay, that's pretty much what I'm seeing right here, right now. That's just kind of my main takeaway. Everything's bullish here. Everything in the pattern is still bullish until proven otherwise. Still would like to see. I don't think you're going to see big money coming in until we do finally reach this weekly 5 SMA, which we very well may need time going sideways to do that. We've done that in the past, going sideways into it, and then we finally get a relief rally to the upside. So that's pretty much my thesis. They need to digest the big move that we've already had. My downside targets are at this point, we got a lot of, it's really not supportive very much down here on a 3% pullback on the NASDAQ. So a 3% pullback would not be bad. We do have positive news tonight or today about the government spending more money creating a sovereign wealth fund, basically creating a sovereign wealth fund here in the United States. We've already seen it in other countries. We've seen it in the Arab countries. We've seen it in Japan. We've seen it in a lot of countries. These sovereign wealth funds, governments are printing debt to buy up equities. Which raises all ships. The government makes money, and there's just not enough money on the sidelines to at high valuations, high multiples to keep the party going. So they start issuing debt. And that's pretty much the thesis that a lot of people are thinking is developing here. Okay. We are into what potentially is a resistance area here on our monthly time frame. The 78.6 could very well be rejected here. So let's be very mindful on that. And this is our weekly central pivot, or weekly VWAP. That yellow right there, that's our weekly VWAP. We're right into that here on the NQs. Can't remember what that was on the ESs. Yeah, weekly VWAP's a little bit higher on the ESs. Okay, guys. And this is our daily VWAP. Okay. So we are into our weekly VWAP on the NQs. Can't really be expecting much higher prices if you are a bear. Okay. So be very mindful of that. That the overnight high is pretty much the line in the sand if you're looking for bearish action in the market. Okay, that's a pretty good takeaway. Similar situation, Russell fighting that weekly VWAP. Very similar situation on that. So let's be mindful of that going forward here. How is it on the 5 SMA? We're really extended away from the 5 SMA as well. Might need some time to digest this. Let the 5 SMA over the next couple weeks catch up to these all-time highs before launching to the upside. All three indices are currently trading slightly green on a week-on-week basis, so be mindful of that. And there's nothing here. Higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. So we're still, everything technically is still bullish. So we have to be mindful of that. And we got a call wall here expiring Friday, 24.75. We're fighting that, trying to push up, and I forgot to mention that on the other ones. Where are they at? Can't remember which. The ES is at. Wait a minute here. I think it's on the other study. Yeah, I got a call wall up there. Let me get this down here. It's a smaller time frame. Give me a second here. Yeah, we're right into the call wall as we speak. 67.25. That is our call wall. So basically, all three of these indices are into their call wall right here, right now. So we could see a positive gamma squeeze higher or a rejection. So be very mindful of that. The call wall, we are above the call wall here on the NQs. So we came down to that call wall on the NQs and are using it as support as we speak. So, we are currently in positive gamma. Like I said, everything about the structure is still bullish, and we are in positive gamma on the NQs, 24,800. My theory yesterday on my yesterday morning video was that we were going to come down, lose 24,800, possibly come back up and back test it, that becoming new resistance for a continuation lower. The structure right now suggests that the markets are going to catch an early bid in the markets. So be very mindful of that. Okay. So we'll see how it all plays out today. But the structure is more bullish than bearish going into this morning's session. Okay. Okay, that's all I got to say. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and like my video, get a chance, and retweet me, and really appreciate everybody watching my video.